Our next storyteller is a local author and life coach. She's here to tell you a story called Storms River. Please welcome Lucetta Zaytoun.
Hello. Good evening. Hello. Hello. So, I raised 6 children and lived to tell about it. Then, in one moment, my marriage crashed into the floor. I discovered that my husband was having an affair, and it was over. And I hit the floor and curled up in the fetal position for 6 months. I became a loser cliche. Like, I raised all these kids for over 18 years. And, although I volunteered and sat on this board and that board, I didn't earn one thin dime. I did not create any kind of a career. I kept nothing for myself. I gave it all away to the family and the kids, which I loved. That was a dream come true. But when this happened, I didn't have a plan B. I didn't know I had to have a plan B. I thought we were good. But evidently we weren't good. And I curled up in the fetal position. I was so afraid. I had the biggest fear hangover ever. What am I going to do? How am I going to support myself? I don't even know how to make a decision. Every decision I've ever made has been for the good of the entire family, for 7 other people. I don't even know how to make a decision for myself. What am I going to do? I have no clue. I was so afraid. I was so afraid. And the kids were grown. They were in their 20s, but they would come over to the house, and it was just too hard for them because I would just cry. I would just cry. I was afraid of living on my own. I was afraid of making decisions for myself. I didn't know how I was going to support myself. My whole future, my life disappeared before my eyes like that. It was gone. For 6 months, I curled up. And I'm not a depressed kind of person, I'm a happy person. And after 6 months, I was like, this is making me sick. I can't live in this fear any longer. What am I gonna do? And even though this house is so amazing, I can't stay in this house anymore. These are 4 walls, it's dead. The soul and the life have been sucked out of this house. I can't stay here. So I go to bed and I curl up and I know I'm not gonna sleep because I haven't slept in months. And I'm thinking, okay, well, if I don't stay here, what will I do? And all of a sudden, an aha hits me right between the eyes. I'm like, I don't have to stay here. I don't have to stay here. So all of a sudden, in that moment, I switched from needing to do something. I need to find a job. I need to figure out what to do. I should get out of this hole. In that moment, I switched from an external hangover decision to an internal passion. I was like, I don't have to stay here. So I put everything I owned in a storage locker, shut down my life here, shut down my iPhone, which was very hard, by the way, and I left the country. And I traveled in developing countries by myself for a year. Never underestimate the power of running away. I went out, I got myself in some pretty precarious positions, got in and out of, all kinds of stuff. I was in Africa for a while volunteering. When I left the volunteer position, I decided to travel south. So I traveled all the way down to, I ended up in a place called Storms River, which is in South Africa on the garden route down headed towards Cape Town. So I get off the bus, and it's off season, so there was one other young man that got off the bus at the same hostel I did. And he said, "Hi, I'm Julian." And I said, "Oh, I have a daughter named Julian. Her name is Julian Teresa, but she goes by Tessa, but she's Julian." And he goes, "Oh, that's cool. I'm 24. How old is she?" And I go, "She's 24. It must have been a really good year." He says, "Are you going to jump?" And I said, "No." And he goes, "Why not?" And I said, "Because I'm not crazy." And he goes, "It's the world's highest bungee bridge jump. How can you miss this?" I said, "I'm not crazy. I am deathly afraid of heights." And he looked up at me, and something kicked in me that had not happened in months and months and months of my travels. I kicked into mom mode. He looked up at me and he said, "Please, there's no one else here. There's no one else in the hostel. Don't make me jump alone. Please, I came here to jump. Don't make me jump alone." I said, "I'm deathly afraid of heights. If I had known this trip was about facing every one of my biggest fears, I never would have left American soil." I said, "Oh, give me a few minutes to go think about it." I went and I paced and I paced and I paced and I said, "I should do this. It's the world's highest bungee bridge. I'll never be here again. I need to do this for him. Tessa would have the balls to do this, but I wouldn't want her to do it alone." So I was like, "Oh God, I should do this. I should do this." So I answer yes. And I say, "All right, let's do it. Let's go." Knowing I'm going to back out when I get up there. I'm deathly afraid of heights. So we get there. The jump is 213 meters, which is equivalent to a 60-story building. We get there, we're waiting in line, we watch people, they're flailing, their eyes are closed. It's really not pretty at all. And I'm like, oh my God. So we walk down, they call our group of 8. We walk down to a bridge, not a bridge. The bungee bridge, they put on the side of the bridge a wire cage that you walk out. It's a 5-minute walk out to underneath the bridge. It's wire. You can see all 216 meters. We're walking out and I'm like, "Julian, what have you gotten us into?" And as I go out, I'm getting sick to my stomach. I'm literally getting nauseated. And so I cover my hands over here. So I'm like, I should do it. I need to do it. I'm covering my hands. And the moment that I cover my hands so that I can't see, I remember something I haven't thought of since I was 5 years old. I used to have this recurring dream of flying, full out flying over houses and mountains, and it was glorious. And in that one moment, I switched from victim to creator. And I said, this is my one and only ever opportunity to fly. I will get to fly. In that moment, I switched from an external, I need to, I should, to an internal passion. I conquered that fear because fear that is external and shoulds and needs to, it's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. You're never going to conquer it. You're not going to change it. But when it becomes something internal and it's a passion, it makes all the difference. So we're walking in, and of course, I'm the first person that's called up, and I'm like, "Julian!" But that was good. I didn't have time to change my mind. So I walked up to the edge. I did not scream. I didn't close my eyes. I didn't flail. I flew. And I have been flying ever since.